Hello everyone. Okay, I've been wanting to do something like this for a while, especially with all the talk about resources being slim, food's going to be short, a lot of people that are finding themselves in financially tight positions. Um, Please forgive me for the way I sound right now. I haven't been feeling good, which is hence why this is going to be the first video this way and the first little clip. I finally decided, what the heck, I've created so many different little things and haven't done this, and finally I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it. And if it helps someone, that's great, and it doesn't matter if I don't sound great. Okay, so I started with these. This is, I guess I will call this video recreating leftovers. Kind of a croissant pizza inspired theme here. One of the things I will advise is usually when I get croissants, what I notice is it's really hard to use them if I don't use a whole package, and of course they sell them in those very large packages. If I don't use a whole package right away, then I've wasted half a package and they're not soft anymore. So one of the things I did do for myself was I splurged. They had it on sale on Amazon. This incredible, and here, excuse the slight mess as I was doing my creative thing here. I'm going to show you, because this one was not $200. It was not expensive. I think I paid maybe $40 for it. It came with all of these bags, and it's those sealer bags. And then of course you can use it, well, not of course, not all of them do it, but that's why I chose this one. You can use it with other kinds of bags, and you can use it with the resealable airtight containers that have the little round thing on the top that you can seal. So the reason I'm showing you this is I had put the croissants in there. So they have now been in my home for 3 days, and they're still super soft, and you can still feel the butter on them. I have stored my spinach in there after washing it. I did not seal this one because it was still wet, and it says you shouldn't do that unless you freeze it, and I knew I was going to use it, so I did not do that. So basic butter. I melted probably about 4 tablespoons for 15 seconds in a little glass dish in the microwave, and then proceeded to spread it all over here. So that's already been done. I have then added, again, I did say this was leftover night, I added Swiss cheese, the sliced Swiss cheese here. Let's see. Spinach on top. That's all I've gotten to so far. I've sprinkled this on here. And on this one, because I'm making 3 for dessert, because I feel bad, I've had a headache all day, and I want my sugar. So, women will understand what I mean when I say it's one of those weeks. And men, I'm terribly sorry. Just know that when you're in a relationship and we get like that and we feel like cooking, you get spoiled too, hopefully. So this one has the butter on it, a little bit of honey, and pineapple. I will be doing the sugar ones last because I still have some additions to add. I did add some green onions, and this was one of the other things that I wanted to show. And I'm going to pause the video for this because, as I said, I was not feeling good. My dishes. Okay, so these have been growing for about 2 months now. They're just your regular average little green onions. Here, I'll put this here for just a second. It's getting warm back there because I'm preheating the oven to 375. This is an experiment. We'll see how it turns out. But as I said, these are just your store-bought green onions. But, oh, they've kind of tangled their roots here at the bottom, sorry. I put them in enough water just to barely cover the roots, so about that much water, and I made sure I try to change it about every other day. They were getting very, very, very long. Let's see. So they're there now. I cut about half a cup off. My advice, after having experimented from these for a long time, is do not cut too much off of one of the onions. That's why I now do 4 or 5 of them, as much as will comfortably fit in the container with lots of breathing room. And what I found was if I cut it too short, or if I cut it too many off of the same onion, it tended to shock them. So that's why you see some short ones and long ones. And once they go into shock, they will die. So I see if I can do this without showing anything. Probably not. But I put them here in the windowsill. This is facing east, so it will get plenty of sunlight in the morning, and then it gets shade in the afternoon. They have been growing beautifully for me here, and I'm so happy with them. Anyway, so that is where these green onions came from. I finally chopped them. And this, it may not seem like a lot, because if you've got green onions at your store, I know here oftentimes I can find these for like 99 cents for a small little bushel of them. But what I find is that I don't always have them on hand when I need them. And especially last time in my area when we went into that COVID lockdown stuff, and it was hard to find things. It was hard to find my green onions as well, so I made sure I started growing them again right away. Okay, so now I'm going to get back to this. I have a few more things that I can experiment with. You're going to see the inside of my messy fridge, and I apologize, but I've been experimenting. This is another experiment I did not do the video for. In all honesty, absolutely, because I watched it on YouTube, and I have no idea if it's going to turn out. So this has been soaking for over 24 hours. It is the rind and the skin of the pineapple. It is supposed to make an amazing pineapple ginger tea. So that will be strained tonight, and then I can update people and let them know if it actually made a good tea. The rest of my pineapple I put in bags and have been eating. In the meantime, I don't have basil pesto, so I'm going to try to use just a little bit of this on one of them. I'm only going to do this on one. So I'm going to pause again for a second, and we'll find out here if it works. Okay, just so I can do the whole full disclosure thing. And again, yes, I know, and I even commented on someone else's mess, but this mess is all from this. I will get cleaned up. I'm washing my hands in between doing everything. So we're trying to be very careful, and I'm not using meat yet. We'll see that in a second. But I just wanted to show you, this is very liquidy, of course, because it's that oil. So rather than spread it like I would if I'd had pesto, I'm just going to drizzle that. And so we're going to experiment on this one here. And we'll hope for the best. Now I did not, I'm trying to be health conscious, so I did not put a thick layer of butter on these. And I'm not crazy about oil most of the time on any kind of sandwich stuff, so we'll see how this turns out. Alright, and I think, well, let's experiment on one of these. Just a little bit for flavor, and we'll see what happens. Okay. So, all right, I'm going to have to pause. I'm going to go grab what I have left over from my breakfast sausage. So I will do the breakfast sausage here next, and you will get to see that. Just a second. Okay. I did take time to clean up, put some stuff away. I just made sure that my croissants were put back in the bag, and I put my butter and threw the other ingredients away because I don't like leaving that stuff out. This is what the first two croissants were in, so it's just going to go off to the side. Now I've already cut up some of the sausage because that's kind of a greasy process. These are just your regular breakfast sausages. And they had come in a big bag. I don't remember what the brand name was because I threw it away last night. It was the big trash because trash went out today. But I cut them up about like this. Now I'm going to add these to some of my little croissant pizzas. And I may have to get my hands greasy after all, because I don't know that these are going to spread the way I want them to. Maybe, we'll see. Now I will also mention I did not line the pan. This is just a regular cooking sheet. I did not line it with oil or butter or anything because the tops of these croissants, I believe they come from Fry's, are so buttery anyway that I just didn't feel the need to. And I'm sorry, I'm holding the camera trying to look at what I'm doing at the same time as filming. This is my first time for doing this. If you've ever seen my other stuff, you know that this is not my normal thing here. I had admittedly hoped that someday when I did this I would have a cameraman or, you know, somebody that we could trade off, help each other, but life doesn't always work out that way, so you guys are stuck with this. But I will not let that defeat me. I am still going to do what I love to do, and this is one of them. And oddly enough, even though my head is still hurting so badly that I just want to cry, this makes me feel better. So if you are watching this, then in some small way you are helping me too. And if I'm helping you, then that's all I need to know, right? Okay, so this last one, the last one here at the end, that is not going to have sugar, but it is just going to have the regular cheese. The rest of these are kind of experimenting with everything. Now, I have done this very successfully in the past, which is why I feel confident enough to experiment in some ways. I have used French bread, sliced thinly. I have used, now these are going to be thicker than anything I've used previously. I've used the bruschetta bread. Typically I would do it with the pesto sauce, or I would do it with the tomato sauce, and typically with mozzarella cheese, and then whatever other little vegetable like ingredients. Sorry, I should have showed you what that was. I was kind of having trouble with the fork. This would be much easier with your hands. I have 2 little pieces left, so I guess I can show you. It's just really, it's not that, even one-handed, it's really not that hard. You just kind of, oops, just put it on there. Okay, so now that I've done that, you can see these are all here. Now is going to be the harder part. I'm going to attempt to do this on camera. This bag, thankfully, is already open. However, oh, wonderful. An advantage of nails. I will also warn you all, for anyone who's been watching me with these beautiful nails that I've had, I may not have them forever. They do make doing some things more difficult, especially when I'm working my day job. I primarily have them because a few months back I smashed my finger very hard into a door, and the top of the fingernail was lifting away from my finger, and someone suggested I do this, and it's actually this finger here. And right now I am currently missing this much of the real nail, so having that finger kind of exposed did not seem like a good idea to me, and it has pressed the rest of the fingernail down, back down into it, so it doesn't hurt as much. Or well, it doesn't actually, with these nails on, it doesn't hurt at all, which was an amazing blessing, because I was trying to not have the nails anymore. I was going to grow them out, which you may have noticed from some videos if you watched my other channel here with angels. And it just it was not working. I was able to create some beautiful, okay, maybe not beautiful, but some designs on my nails, and so I could have gotten away with growing them out until they were off. However, what I found is that when I got to the last time of trying to work with it, the nail underneath that nail underneath that finger had lifted to such an extent that it was just excruciatingly painful. And so I went ahead, bit the bullet, and got my nails done. And let me tell you, it works. So if you ever have a finger that you have smashed very badly in a car door and you want to keep that nail on, or you want to protect it for a little while, that does work. I can't remember who told me, but it works very well. I am literally just, I did wash my hands. As you can see, they're not greasy anymore. I washed them probably too much for my poor dry skin, but that's okay. I would rather have clean and sanitary than unwashed hands. And this last one I'm just going to do very simply in case the others turn out awful, because you can't go wrong with just cheese, right? Which is butter and cheese. So, in fact, I don't think I can go wrong with the green onions, so I may add some of those to the top. Well, not may, I just did. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to do, let me set this aside, and this is one of the reasons that I was not just, I mean, it wasn't just for you guys' sake, although you should know that you should always clean your surfaces, especially if you're going to have meat and anything else. But I'm bringing out my bag of sugar. Now, let me say in advance, I do not advise storing the sugar this way. This is not how I advise storing sugar. Unfortunately, a lot of my stuff is still in storage, including my very large Tupperware storage container. So as soon as I get that out, if I ever do one of these again, if for any reason, you know, more than 3 people watch this and they want to see more, then or anyone wants to see more, then I will go ahead and attempt to do it. If I get no views, I probably won't do it again. This is a little bit more difficult than I thought one-handed. But anyway, the point to that is in the future, at some point when I get my stuff out of storage, you will see this here. Now, I have done butter and sugar before. It caramelizes on the top. We've got two issues with this experiment. I have never done the cheese, meat, dinner kind of ones at the same time that I'm doing the sugar ones. And the sugar ones don't usually take very long to caramelize on the top. So I may have to remove these early and set them on a plate. This looks like a lot of sugar, but half the sugar falls off the spoon as I'm pulling it out. Here, I'll show you. So I have, well, maybe not half. In total, if I was to scoot that to the end, probably a little over 2/3 of a teaspoon. So I'm adding about 2/3 of a teaspoon to that one. I'll go a little less on this one because I realized when I watched that that's probably not what I need to put inside myself when I'm trying to promote healing energy. Although this one, I'm going whole hog. We've got pineapple here. I don't know if this is going to caramelize. But so that's probably a full teaspoon right there. I will say this pineapple I got, it was kind of on the soft side. It was a little questionable, but when I cut it open, that is super sweet. So that is not going to need a lot of sugar. The only question I'm going to have is whether or not it's going to caramelize well. So as I said, I've already preheated the oven to 375. We're going to test it out with that. I have my wonderful dollar store oven mitts. Always use an oven mitt. And then we'll just put it in and we will see what happens. I don't know if I can pause the video long enough for these to cook. I'm going to give it for about 15 minutes to start with, and we'll see what happens from there. In the meantime, if it does not, I will try to splice the video together. If I am unsuccessful, I will add a link to part 2 underneath when I post. And we'll see what goes on from there. Okay. I did want to say for just a second, oh my gosh, I look awful. But that's what migraines do to you, and there's just no apologizing for it. Really very quickly, I wanted to show you one of the things I have learned the hard way, and I'm still learning. And if you just saw that eye roll, it wasn't myself. What I have done multiple times, more times than I can count, is I will experiment in this way. And I always doubt myself, and I'm like, well, we'll see how it turns out, and maybe it won't turn out so great. And sometimes it has been. I've had a few absolutely colossal fails. Like terrible fails. I'm trying to figure out on how to do this, where I'm supposed to look. I still haven't figured out. If you watch my videos and you see my eyes, that's why I look the way I do when I do those videos, is because I have no idea where I'm supposed to look to look into the camera. So anyway, here, actually, I'm going to turn this around. My mug there. This is my workspace. This is what people they're watching my readings from Here with Angels. They don't see this side. This is like all of my stuff lined up. But I wanted to show you. I get these. I try to purchase some every year because I go through them for notes, for all sorts of stuff. Not just for making my cards for the reading, but actually just everything. They're just plain. I used to get the lined, but then if I had to draw something or I wanted to add something, it looked messier for some of my stuff. I still get the lined for a lot of things, but when I'm doing just regular little notes like this, my first initial drafts of stuff, I'll just grab whatever's on hand. I need to be more organized here. I do have some lined somewhere, but I don't know where they're at. So basically, what I'm going to do on this, sometimes I will write the date, because especially if I'm cooking with somebody, that might help me remember, little details of how I did things, because cooking is a science, but it's also an art. So what happens, at least for me, is that I might get the science part right and write, okay, this was this, exactly this much, exactly that much, but then I will forget some little detail of how I did it. What order did I put everything on there? Of course, when I'm videotaping this, I can always go back and look at this later to perfect this. So I'm not going to write a lot here, but literally I just, it's just for my own notes. I'll put experiment, and then I might put like all the ingredients and approximates of how much I add. And I will admit, I'm kind of lazy about that, because the art part is the experimenting for me. When I'm first experimenting, and I have been able to do this method successfully in the past, and I swear by doing it this way, the first time I'm experimenting, I don't worry about exactly how much cheese I used, exactly how much of this, that, or the other, but I do try to get, to the best of my recollection, the approximates of all the ingredients. I'm also not going to write on this card yet, because as you saw, I experimented with several different recipes, and so probably will not eat all of those by myself tonight. However, in the next day or two, I will probably have eaten them all. And once I know which ones I like the best, then I will write down what was on those. The second time I go out to cook, when I take, and this is why I love the 3x5 cards, when I go to actually cook that, I will write the ingredients, exactly the amounts that I am putting on there. And then when I taste it the second time, I can make a note. Do I need more? Do I need less? By the time I've cooked this the third time, I have a brand new 3x5 card, which has everything written the way I want it. Now, I don't know how everybody else does it. And I do follow recipes. I have a beautiful recipe book. I have several of them. As much as I don't want to see my own face, I really think it's weird when people are just holding the camera, looking at something else and not talking. So, anyway, my point is that I do have recipe books and I use them, but I just love experimenting. I got it from my grandma. My grandma used to experiment. My mom used to do some once in a while. I think that's where I got some of it. A lot of my aunts and my uncles also teach me how to cook, but they were very by the book, follow the recipe people. So I think both sides of that in my family, because I can follow a recipe very well, and but I also can get into the creativity and the fun and the art of just experimenting, and I think that's the funnest part. And I'll admit there's a little bit of pride when someone likes my cooking and they like what I make, and then that's why I started writing it down. I used to just experiment, and whatever we had on hand was whatever we had on hand. Being a single mom, that happens often enough. But it was always frustrating when everyone would love it, there was no more left, and then they would want me to make it again another time. And their description of it was, well, Mom, can you make that XYZ dish? We don't remember. I said, well, what's it called? I don't know. You just made it. Okay, well, what was in it? We don't know. When did I make it? Oh, last Thursday. And then I'm racking my brain. I'm like, okay, I know what they're talking about, but what did I put in that thing? Damn it. And so I found that it became easier when I am still a work in progress. I'm still learning to do this stuff. So if you don't like this method, don't use it, of course. And if for some reason you've tried doing this yourself and you find it hard, believe me, I understand. Because it's hard to sit down and remember, especially if you've got a lot of kids and you've got a big family, and everything's going really fast. I will say that I have found that even when I can't do the 3x5 cards, which is sometimes why on my Facebook people will see me post a picture, and it may not be the most spectacular looking thing in the world, but I do that not just for other people who I want to show it to, but because it helps me to remember what was in that thing and how I did that. So like I said, I love to experiment. There are dishes that are recipe specific. I have my mother's recipe for tuna casserole. I like that. I do not like to deviate from her recipe. It's really good. There's a peanut butter cookie recipe that I wish I could say was my own creation. It was not. And I will not deviate from that recipe very much. I really like that recipe. But other than a few things, I really love to experiment. So I just wanted to share with you guys what I was doing. and show everybody that cooking can be more than just a hamburger or opening whatever food is available. And this is a little embarrassing, but it is what it is. When I was a single mom and I was raising 6 kids and working multiple jobs on top of, yes, I got child support. I'm not saying that Max didn't, but believe it or not, whether he likes to believe it or not, it didn't cover everything the kids needed. It didn't cover all the bills. And so I often worked multiple jobs. One of them would usually be a full-time and then a couple part-times. And with that kind of a schedule, and then the kids' schedule and the school stuff, it was very hard to find things to cook. And even with all of that, the kinds of jobs I was working, like I said, it might be one full-time or part-time. I wasn't making that much. It was usually stuff that was, cleaning someone's house for 2 hours for $40. So it was just that little bit of extra that we might need for something. So that would get spent on their school supplies or their clothes. There were many times, thankfully not every time, but there were many times I had to go to the food bank. And what I would find at the food bank is you get a bunch of food, but it's kind of mismatched and it's really hard to plan around. And so I don't know how much I'm going to get to this because clearly I'm not going to go to the food banks just to make a video, although I did think of an alternative to that. I could start and may start volunteering if I can find one open on the weekends. I don't have a lot of time on the weekdays, but if I can find one open on the weekends, I might start volunteering just so I can see, okay, this is what the food bank is giving out this week. But there are some basic staples that usually get given out at food banks, like rice and beans. And I know that when I first started doing stuff, I didn't have a lot of recipes for those things. And so it was very hard to utilize what they gave me. And, if you're not using the food, one is going to waste. Although it never did. Luckily, if there was something I couldn't use, my neighbors would use it, and sometimes we would swap back and forth after we cooked. Didn't happen too often, but once or twice. But it was just a learning process. And so I know there's a lot of young people out there, and I know I may not be the face that young people want to look at, but hopefully it will help if you know of a young person who is struggling in this economy, because it's hard. I know people that are sharing apartments with 3 and 4 people. They're struggling to make it on their own. Some of them are lucky enough to work at a restaurant and get to take food home for themselves, but many of them don't. So parents, if you're out there and you're taking your son or daughter that wonderful little basket we like to bring them, with the food and loading them up on stuff, that's all wonderful. But as my son expressed to me once, I don't know how to cook this. So maybe we can share some ideas, some recipes. They may not want to watch this video, but maybe I can inspire you to make one for them. Maybe they would love to see mom and have an amazing video of their mom that they can treasure forever, showing them how to cook, especially right now when we're all locked down and we're not getting together as much. And I think it would just be a lovely way to kind of share that experience with our kids and connect with them. And I'm hoping, I'm not really good at winking here, but I'm hoping that 1 or 2 of my kids might see this, be inspired, and say, hey, Mom, I'll come help. And if not, that's okay. But anyway, the whole point that I'm getting to with this is I'm just kind of talking a little bit, 1, because I don't think the phone is going to hold this while I'm cooking, the pause for that long, and 2, because there were things that I wanted to say. I thought about saying them after it was all done, but I figured why not just do it now. About the 3x5 cards, keeping track of what you're cooking so you can do it again, and why I'm doing all of this. And I'll figure it out as I go, like we all do, right? And again, please excuse the way I look. The migraine is killing me. It's I don't think it's anything dangerous. I had an accident years and years and years ago, and sometimes that I took a small chip out of my skull, and where it hurts is right there. So I think it's just from that, I think. Anyway, I'm going to pause this. We're going to go check the oven and see what it looks like. OMG, I wish you could smell this. Holy Toledo. Those look beautiful. And I'm going to take them out because there's no way that this is just not doing it justice. I am so glad I did this. If they taste even half as amazing as they look to me right now. And of course, feel free to look at the comments below. This is not, of course, well, actually, I've worked in the back house of a restaurant. This is what it looks like when it's still on the pan. It will look much prettier on a plate. But honestly, it could just be because I am not feeling good and really haven't cooked for myself today. So maybe anything would look good to me right now because I'm hungry. But, oops, I'll have to pick that up and put it in the hamper. But that's the final result. So I hope you enjoyed this. Have a wonderful evening. Namaste. And that means, if I remember correctly, let me see, namaste. I believe the definition I was told was the light in me welcomes the light in you, or the light in me says says hello to the light in you. I'll have to look that up. For some reason it just came out and I'm not sure why, but anyway, have a wonderful evening. Bye everyone.